My name is David Woodall with the Emsdale Pastoral Charge of the United Church of Canada. I hope you've had a good summer. I've had certainly a good summer, and I'm now back for this end of summer, fall, winter season with a series of messages that I hope are helpful to you in your lives. It's one of the great stories of the Old Testament. Walls of water towering on each side, the wind-swept figure of Moses standing high overhead, the sun outlining his body against the storm-driven clouds, people of all ages frantically fleeing through this miracle canyon, dry ground and walls of water on each side. And then there is the closing sounds of thunder as the water comes crashing in, giving this ragged band of refugees their final freedom. As they were about to embark on this incredible journey, standing at the water's edge, Moses had a simple word to say, and they were God's words. I am with you. Do not be afraid. 1,000 years later, a popular teacher comes to the seaside and asks to preach from a fisherman's boat because the crowd on the shore was too large. This fisherman listened, and the crowd listened, and they heard these same words. I am with you. Don't be afraid. And the Israelites passed through the water. That must have been an incredible journey. Standing on the seaside, seeing the black waters held back by some mysterious power. I think about the courage of that first person who stepped out and risked walking down that narrow, dry path. And then the others followed along, tentative steps. Parents anxiously herding their children, family gently but urgently bringing their elderly. And I'm sure on that seashore, before the first step was taken, that there would have been rough arguments from those who feared to take the journey. Let us not die in this canyon of water. Let us return to Egypt, to the slavery, but to the terror that we know. Those who made those arguments would have found themselves surrounded by friends who would not leave them behind. And I wonder if some of them were dragged kicking and screaming between the walls of water. Who knows? The Israelites passed through the water, and they gained their final freedom from the tyranny of Egypt. Peter and his brothers and friends went to the water's edge and left their nets and boats and embarked on a journey with an itinerant teacher, a teacher that would change their lives. Both were recruited at that water's edge and became brand new people. I wonder if one of the little children being herded through Moses' Miracle Valley was a boy named Joshua, who would become the future hero and leader of the Israelite people. I have observed this in life, that we walk along with others, guide, heal, lead, and inspire us in life. We live in their shadows. We gain wisdom because of their examples. We grow in our faith because of their faith. And along the way, that journey changes us. And somewhere in that journey, we emerge as the new examples, the new people who inspire, the new leaders with a new wisdom for a new time. There is a time that comes for all of us when it is our turn to step forward, to go to the water's edge and make the journey is an incredibly brave thing to do because it creates us and recreates us in brand new ways. To go to the water's edge is a symbolic way of talking about life and courage, about hope and faith, about everything that's good in this wonderful life that God gives to us. We are invited by Christ in these moments that we have together to go to the water's edge in our own lives, to make the choices, to live our lives in rich and meaningful ways, to make good decisions about how we will spend our time, to really reach out and to care and to help other people, to grow our spirits, be nurtured by the Spirit of the Lord. I think about that first person who walked between the walls of water on that day with Moses. That person stepped out from the crowd. I heard an article on the news the other day about the consequences of apathy amongst large groups of people, and in this case it was within a nation. The sense among the people of that nation was that nothing could ever change, that the way things are is the way they will always be. And there was no point in stepping out. There was no point in taking risks because nothing could ever change. Not ever. The journey of the people with Moses was their belief that that need not necessarily be true. The things, the way things were for them would not always be the way things would be. Nonetheless, there was a moment at the water's edge when one person, and it wasn't Moses, stepped forward onto a dangerous path with threatening walls of water on each side. The way things are today is not necessarily the way things always will be. But sometimes that one person who steps forward makes all the difference in the world. Separate yourself from the crowd, go to the water's edge, and take the step. Recognize that you're not a sheep who will be satisfied with only a few nibbles of dry grass or following the herd as they wander aimlessly, bleating and whining all their days as if nothing will ever change. Nothing ever changes. Not ever. Step out from the water's edge. Your future, for better or worse, lies in your hands. It lies walking through that dry ribbon of ground surrounded by wells of water. Live each day as if today is the only day you have to live. Yesterday has vanished forever, and tomorrow, it's only a dream. Refuse to allow the painful memories of the past or the hand-wringing concerns about tomorrow foul your thinking so that today's efforts are impaired by all that baggage. Get rid of both of those heavy loads. Yesterday's concerns, tomorrow's fears. That's a lot of baggage that does not need to be part of today. The Bible puts it this way, let your own troubles be sufficient for the day. Go that extra mile at every opportunity. This is one of the key secrets to unlocking the life that God has given us. If someone asks for your shirt, give them your coat as well. Do whatever task you're doing as if it's the most wonderful thing in the world that you could be doing. How does that phrase go? Do small things in a big way, do big things in a small way, and God will bless your life. Take the opportunity as often as it is presented to nurture, to heal, to release, and to restore life. Look for the seed of good in every adversity that you have. Whereas Paul thinks all things work together finally for good. Not that all things will be good, but in the adversity of life will be found the seeds of hope for tomorrow. Never neglect the little things. Avoid rushing through the things that you need to do. Work, as we know, done hastily is often done poorly. Shortcuts taken, careless attention to details, these things can all eventually wreak havoc on your life. History reminds us of ancient battles that were lost because of a missing horseshoe nail. But at the same time, don't hide behind busy work. It takes just as much energy to do nothing as it does to succeed at something. I'm thinking undoubtedly there were those people who, in crossing the Red Sea with the walls of water on each side, saw the walls of water as a convenient opportunity to get their dishes extra clean. And they stopped and unpacked their dishes and were washing them in the water. And in the end, Moses had to tell them to leave the dishes, hurry up. Your life is more important than the dishes. And that still holds true today. It's nice to have the dishes done, but do you want your final accomplishment in life to be that in your final hours you wash the dishes or cut the lawn or whatever? These past few years have highlighted the marked change that our world is undergoing. Today, there are climate catastrophes, wars, unreasonable anger expressed against other people. There is harassment and racism, and the list goes on. And all of these are part of our world today. They are the walls of water, threatening to wipe out the narrow, dry path between them. This is not a time to hesitate at the water's edge. Just as Peter didn't take his boat back and just go fishing, forgetting everything he had heard. This is a time like that very first unknown person amongst the people with Moses to step forward from the water's edge, to choose life and faith and hope and goodness, to walk so others can follow, to be examples so that others can live, to love so that others can learn to love. Jesus turned to Peter at the water's edge and, using the same words of Moses, said, I am with you. Don't be afraid. Come with me. God bless us all. Amen.